Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this evening's conversation. Tonight, I'm indeed happy and delighted to have my brother, fellow co-laborer in ministry and the marketplace, the one, the only, the doctor, Chris Pennywell, is our guest. Etymology had some other issues come up, so he may join in and chime in later on. Welcome to the stage, my brother Chris Pennywell. What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm blessed.
Well,
It's a
man,
busy time this year.
listen, there's a lot going on, and tonight, of course, is a hot topic, and we
Yes.
know that the internet, social media is buzzing with all that is happening centered around P Diddy
hmm
and the likes. I think it's probably one of the highest rated topics and stories right now, even above the election. And we know the election, of course, is more important.
hmm
But the more salacious things are, the more people tend to be interested, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it's plenty salaciousness.
And they say it works good for advertising dollars because, of course, at the end of the day, news outlets and media outlets, they want those viewers, right? Because viewers equate to dollars. But
Yes.
brothers and sisters, if you chimed in, please share this on your platforms. It's going to be a very cathartic conversation as we try to always, anytime that we come, we try to make sure that it is worth your while, worth your time. Tonight, I brought my brother on because I want to approach this conversation from several different perspectives. Of course, I want to deal with the practical side, the emotional and mental side. Then, of course, we'll touch on the spirituality of all of this. My brother Chris, let's just get right into it. Of course, like I said, you are well aware of what is happening currently with this Diddy situation. Just preliminary, what are your thoughts as to what you've already seen and heard and observed?
My thoughts is that unfortunately, what was going on with him, it was a it was a long time coming. Um, as far as what was going on, he was getting really reckless in these streets, and it was just unfortunately it was a manifestation of his pride that man that came out, and when a person continues to do things like that in
Yeah,
the dark like that,
yeah,
eventually that there's a payday. The Bible talks about the wages of sin. Even though we talk about the wages of sin is death, but their sin has wages. There's
yes,
a payday. Something is going to have to come forward. When you continue to dive in that, that stuff comes out, and it's boiling over
yeah.
of all of the things that has been going on.
It is so true. I was scrolling through my feed and some of his own clips, right? Not the fake news,
hmm
that we so casually throw around, but in his own words, absolutely. I mean, he was ranting like he was on this narcissistic binge. I mean, just and of course, the things that he was spewing out, told of a person that had an overinflated ego, one that felt he was untouchable and invincible, right? Two,
Yep.
and thirdly, that kind of and that level of narcissism only comes about when you've convinced yourself you're part of the it club.
Yes, and that's exactly what went on. It's that they say absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yeah.
It is another indication of what happens when somebody gets drunk on their own power.
You
And
said some. You said something I want to go back to in your opening statement, and you said that this is a display, of course, of his pride. Can you speak to, because pride, every person has pride, but pride for a black man is a very interesting dynamic. Really, it is. And sometimes we don't always find that balance. Why is that? What are the deeper roots of that?
I think the deeper roots of it comes in a lot of ways. It's layers to it, but I'll speak on just a few. one of the layers is when black people, when we start getting fame and stuff like that, there's something that there was a I call it a deviant mindset that was kind of implanted in us. I believe it was during slavery and post
Yep,
slavery,
that's
to
where I'm
where
going.
we have to outdo one another.
Yes, sir.
We have to, okay, we have to have a certain thing here. Think about it. We would go broke trying to get the latest J's
Yeah,
just so we could stun on somebody that's of our own race. Like, you know what I'm saying? We will go
right,
broke for that because it gives us a certain, level of pride. Okay, hey, I may not be better than everybody, but I'm better than y'all. Or I
right,
got, you know what I'm saying? Or I got something up on y'all. And it shows and everything. Think about it in knowledge. Somebody learned just a little bit something about finances. Now
right.
they on social media like
Being a guru.
clowning folks like, yeah, I'm in the cryptocurrency. Y'all need to step y'all game up. All that type of stuff like that. We do that. It is that inward thing that makes us believe. It makes us race to be the best of the rest, if that makes sense. The
Yes,
best of the rest. You don't there's certain levels you probably can't get, but you want to be the best of the rest. So we do that. It's that level. And then just with our pride, just a normal human pride that wants to always puff itself up, always wants to exalt itself. And even a deeper root, I'm just gonna say the deeper roots of it comes in a low self-worth.
yes,
Just as black people, how we have been viewed, how we have been put out there, that we come in and we start believing that because think about it, when it's, even if you're not thinking about it in the forefront of your brain, your your unconscious mind,
yeah,
your subconscious is constantly recording,
right,
constantly recording. So when you are hearing, seeing images of a particular people, that belief system
yeah,
will get implanted in your mind. Hence, let's give some examples. We're both men. We're both successful men. Imagine look what happens when we walk in a store.
yeah,
We walk in a store. We walk into a store, we go to the back, go grab something to drink. Somebody's always following us,
right,
because the thing is that now they probably never had too many people that look like us that may have stole.
right,
That don't happen as much. I mean, just contrary to people's opinion. I mean, you have people, but that's not the norm. But it has been said, it's constant. They're seeing images on TV,
right,
images on social media, images constantly saying that black people are deviant, black people,
yeah,
that we're not, that we're violent, that we're
right.
thieves, we're all these different things like that. So that the underlying message that says we are this, and so people start reacting. See, we don't react off of our conscious mind. We react off of our subconscious mind.
Subconscious. And it's true because as I have traveled even around the world, Africans are respected better than Black Americans,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because of the portrayal that we have had, because of how we have been presented to the world. Other nationalities treat us as if we are the dung of the earth, so to speak. And I mean, I've had so many encounters where I've had to talk to people and they honestly said, "Listen, that's the imagery we see.
Mm-hmm.
That's what when we look at America, America always." And I had a conversation with a professor one time many years ago, and I was like, the reason why slavery, because they were trying to rationalize slavery as it being this decision of economy more than a decision of um, I don't know what the word should be. They were trying to take away the negative connotation of it.
Oh wow.
So anyway, so they were trying to argue that of course, a lot of civilizations use slavery as a form of building the infrastructure. That is true. But here's what I said: I said, but no nation has been as inhumane
Yes.
as America has in the treatment of its indentured servants, indigenous people, and its slaves. So when you take the hatred, the venom, the poison, the toxicity that that white America has portrayed us as being the object of the hatred, it's made the whole world look at us with this disdain. So yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
there is a real issue there.
Yeah. I mean, now let's look at it like this, just to tag on to what you're saying. Think about this. If it was just simply about that, when we were free, they would have left us alone. Here's the problem. Most of the lynchings, historically, most of the lynchings and the levels of murder. Now it was super crazy brutal in slavery, but most of those lynchings and murders really started even increasing post slavery.
Yeah.
We were starting because they said, hey, it's already done. So then we, without a lot of times any kind of help, no government help, no anything like that, we started building our own societies. In the late 1800s, early 1900s, there were a lot of societies, that black people were building. We were building amongst ourselves. We weren't bothering nobody. We weren't taking nothing from nobody. We wanted to do it strictly amongst ourselves, for ourselves, and they couldn't take it. There are somewhere around between 20 to close to 30 some separate societies in the southeast area of America that we were building, that every single one of them got burned down. The whole area's got, the people there got slaughtered. All type of things happened during that time because it was an extreme, number one, hatred, but it was beyond that. It was also superiority.
Okay, brother Breno. Well, here's a great segue into this whole Diddy thing. I believe because of that inherently could have been one of the reasons why he was so driven, right? Not only to do what he did, but to do it in the manner in which he did it. I believe there. I believe that when people buy into this ideology and belief system that they're not enough and that they have to morph or change into this identity that they feel like society will treat them better. That brainwashing, if you will, is an invitation to really tap into pain, right? It's an invitation to pain. But I believe that in all of us, because I've had moments where, knowing my history as a black man, that fueled me, right, to want to be successful.
Yeah.
But not in an abusive way, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that that's the thing that we have to, as black men, not internalize what our past was and create this self-hatred. I don't know if I'm making sense, but this self-hatred, this self-loathing, like I hate so much of where I come from that I'm going to be overly aggressive and abusive and disrespectful in becoming somebody else. I don't know if that made sense, but
I know, well, the thing is that you could never, a person truly from the inside, we could never, if a person truly loves themselves, and I'm talking about in a healthy way, could never treat another person the levels in which we were seeing that are treated. And this goes back to even just biblical principles.
Right.
What we see is a servant to what we do not see.
Right.
We know that.
Right.
Our minds control what this body does, what this body says, how we go about things. It is driven by the inner images that we have on the inside of us. So that, like the phrase goes, misery loves company.
Right.
That's true. When someone is genuinely miserable on the inside, it manifests in how they treat other people, because that misery is contagious.
This is good.
So they begin to go in other people's lives, and no matter what they do, they begin to create chaos, misery, because that is the image on the inside. We cannot go beyond the images that are on the inside of us. That even in the Bible, when they created when in the day of Moses, when they were in the wilderness, and when they did the golden calf, that was the manifestation of the idolatry of Egyptian gods that was in their heart. They said, we want to create a God to lead us. They couldn't go no further than what they saw.
Right.
They couldn't go no further than what they saw. So it's the same way with us. We cannot go no further than what we see, the inner images that we have in here.
This is
So
why. No, I'm sorry. This is why I wanted to have this conversation, because most people have gotten on the bandwagon of pointing fingers at P. Diddy. And again, hear me well. I am not condoning his behavior.
Yeah.
What I am saying, though, is his behavior is going to be and should be a teaching point, a mirror on how all of us should see how we conduct, how we live our lives, and how we interact with individuals. Because if we don't look at this narrative and look at what is happening as a blueprint whereby we can see ourselves, we won't get any better. You know, if we just point out what is wrong, if we point out what is deviant in his behavior, but not look at the whole picture, the whole scheme of things, again, then we will do ourselves a disservice, because I believe P. Diddy speaks to, now, y'all listeners might get mad at me, but the P. Diddy speaks to that part in a person's behavior that is left unchecked. The piece of you that the people don't really see, the private you, the ugly side of you, right? That makes you, and all of us have that side. All of us do, because that's part of the fallen nature, which is why we have to bring our bodies and our under subjection. We have to cast down these imaginations and these images in our mind, right? The reason why the Bible is given to retool us and to recalibrate us is because in the fallen nature of man, because he was seduced by Lucifer, is the spirit of pride.
Yes.
It's like that's the fruit we ate from. That's the fruit we received in our rebellion. And so that's, again, thank you for saying that, because the focus of this conversation is not to be a bashing for P. Diddy. We're going to talk about some things, but this is not to bash him. This is for us to look at his life as a mirror, and really delve into the psychosis, like what is really going on with black men, because there's a problem. I mean, even when you look at the current stats of entrepreneurship and ownership and education and home ownership, business ownership, we are being outpaced, right? Not by any other people group. Let's just talk about within our own circle. We are being outpaced by black women.
Oh,
like it's like 200%, right?
Yeah.
So we're broken. Our spirit is broken. Our drive is broken. Our motivation is broken. Our focus is broken. Our faith is broken.
Yeah.
And that's why, he's just a manifestation. He's a manifestation of being broken. And again, that doesn't mitigate or minimize what he did. What he did was egregious, and he's going to have to pay for that, and is paying for that in some way now. I'm not negating that, but I am saying he's broken.
Yeah.
But before we cast a stone at him, what about our own brokenness?
Yeah. Well, you hit it right on the head, Prophet. And I want to speak to that. Even think about this. Wherever a person feels powerless, they will go out of their way to seek to gain power somewhere else.
This is good. Say that to the folks in the
And that's true. I say it again. Whenever a person feels powerless, you will see that person go to great lengths to gain power in other areas in order to do that. So that is where you'll see that pathology. A lot of times we'll say abusive men.
Come on.
You get abusive men who it's not about physically beating them up. That's a manifestation. It is their attempt to gain and maintain power.
Listen.
Because they feel powerless. You have a person like Diddy, you have a person like a lot of people like that, like you talk about the brokenness, it's just him powerless. And now you give a man who felt powerless a bunch of power.
Right.
And it's, if influence, money, look at the lengths that he went to just to get to the heights that he got.
Come on,
Yeah.
man.
With I mean, I'm a big hip hop fan, you know. Even with it came with Biggie, right? Biggie, he kind of rode Biggie to that top, and Biggie was the man. Biggie, he carried the whole East Coast on his back.
Right.
I remember back in those days because
And
the West Coast,
there's a setup. You know that they're trying now to say that there was some inner workings and dealings with Faith Evans being set up. She really didn't love Biggie, but she was set up by, you know, all these conspiracies now. But
yeah. No, this is good. This is good. But Biggie was carrying the East Coast on his back by that time. You gotta remember, East Coast wasn't strong like that no more. You had the West Coast. At that time, you had Cube. At that time, you had Snoop was just hitting the scene with him and Dre with the Chronic. I mean, you had the Bay Area. Just the Bay Area was cracking as far as just their artists. LA was cracking with their artists. I mean, just the West Coast was killing. So then Biggie came through, just stomping away, and kind of led a revolution with some strong East Coast rap. And then all of a sudden, when Biggie passed, remember, now mind you, when Biggie was up there, everybody knew who Puff was. We all knew who Puff was. Like, yo, Puff, but he was more the producer. He that dude in the back dancing. You know, he danced.
He was the hype man.
He was a hype man. When Biggie passed, that man slipped in there, used Biggie as that, you know, tributes to Biggie and all that stuff as a thing. Then he rolled the wave and just little by little started gathering other people. He used those people and then he discarded them, which is a big sign a lot of times of narcissism. When somebody's a narcissist, this is what they do. This thing people, and this is something you guys got to recognize. Not everybody's a narcissist, but I want to give you a tip with somebody who's a narcissist. Usually most narcissists are some of the most charming people in the world.
Listen,
telling you, some of the most charming, talented, engaging will draw you in, but their purpose of drawing you in is to gain power over you. So they draw you in and they want your resources, whatever that is. So they want to be able to, I want to take what you have and give nothing back. I'm using this as an example because this is what Diddy did. Diddy did the same thing with Craig Mack. Remember Craig Mack? Craig Mack came through with a flavor in your ear. Everybody was rocking that. You know what I'm saying? Once he did that, then he started getting other artists. He just kicked Craig Mack to the side. Craig Mack was hot for a quick minute and just kicked him to the side. I can use other artists. Shine, that young dude. He took a prison bid for Diddy. You know, all of those different things, all of these different artists that he just stomped on. I mean, and we even go talk about a lot of the making of the band.
Man, I forgot about that.
You know,
I forgot about that.
Yeah, they're all coming forward saying like, yo, he either stole from them constantly, he bullied them.
The band, they never got paid from what I was researching.
Nope.
It's true.
Never got paid. Nope. They got fame, but never got. I mean, they, you know, to get a little cash as far as they never got paid. He stole from them. He did all type of stuff like that because that's what narcissists do. They use people for the purposes of gaining ultimate power. And that's exactly what he did. And once he got him up under that, that's when he took the mask off. Like once he got them under the grip, oh yeah, this is the real me.
Let me pause here. Those of you who are listening, please take that tidbit because that's just not a P. Diddy personality trait. Many of you are dealing with that maybe even on your jobs. You have bosses who are like that, or you work for organizations. It is a characteristic that will deplete you, that will drain you, that will make you feel inferior, less than. It is a Luciferian spirit. I want you to hear me well. It's a Luciferian spirit, and the only outcome is going to be hurt, pain, and devastation. People who operate on that level of power or the abuse of power, they're being driven by a Luciferian spirit. So just be aware of that because, again, the purpose of Believe Radio Fresno and Believe Radio Bay Area and our other entities is to make sure that we are a platform of information, insight, and revelation. This is not a bashing opportunity or outlet. This is so that we can receive tools and information on how to be better people. And we're so honored that our guest, Chris Pennywell, who has a background in life and psychology, I should say, uh,
Amen.
who has a vested interest in the community. He serves in both Madera and Fresno County, and on a, a professional level. And then, of course, he's also a minister, a very capable and competent minister of the gospel. And so you're hearing from him. Please like and share this on your platform. We're going to pull up Brother Chris because we can go on, and I still want to tap in what you said, but I want to get to some of these other points because in this discovery that has been taking place with Diddy, we've been finding a sudden decline or a sudden um, shift in the resignation of a lot of CEOs. Now, of course, if you're not brain dead, uh, everybody knows that Diddy invited a lot of high-powered, high-profile people to his freak-out parties, right?
Mhm.
What do you think is? Let's show this. What do you think is going on? Warner Music in Japan president and CEO Kaz Kobayashi resigned. Kevin Lyles, Randy Goodman of so. I mean, these are very powerful music moguls. Is there a correlation in your mind?
Oh, I totally believe that. That is just too because the thing is that it's better to quit than to be fired. So they're jumping, they getting ahead of this because the thing is, we know
I
this.
can't cuss. I can't cuss, but it's gonna hit the fan, right?
Yes, and they know Diddy about to sing. That brother about to sing.
Woo! You about to see real high to go to prison. Okay, go ahead.
Man, he about to sing like Fred Hammond, boy.
And hold on, listen. The beginning of this year, and I thank God every day. I really do. You know my life. I'm not braggadocious, but man, God said something to me that was so profound. And every year, of course, because of the office of the prophet, and that's different than just the gift of prophecy, because of the office
Yes.
of the prophet. Um, every year God will give me a watchword or a mantra or an affirmation or something to direct his people. This year, the Lord spoke to me. God said 2024 will be the measure of man.
Mm,
Every service I preach, there is a tone in the text where God is measuring man in some way. And with that measuring of man, of course, there is grace and mercy, but there's also judgment, you know? And judgment is not necessarily God throwing us to the wolves. Judgment is God rendering a decision so that we can have an opportunity to turn to Him and, if not, suffer consequences.
woo, that so speaks because I heard the Lord say to me during this thing when this stuff was coming out. He says, "I'm revealing myself as the God who sees."
Mm. Mhm. All
People
that's done in
forget.
the dark. Yeah.
We forget He is the God who sees
God who sees
everything.
everything.
Everything, and we tend to do that. And I love how you said that judgment and the judgment on this side, even though it's judgment, it is God's mercy. It is a checks and balances.
Right, right,
It's a checks and balances where it comes up and it's like, okay, hey, the Bible tells us this: if we do not judge ourselves,
right.
we will be judged along with the world.
Yep,
That's
yep.
speaking, with you in Christ or even outside Christ,
Right.
that's speaking to it. We have to judge
Have
ourselves,
to judge.
and there is a checks and balances that will come forth. But even when God does that, even in this earth, God does it. That's still mercy
Yes. In
because
his
He.
judgment, there's still more. Listen, but let's go back because here it again, people. We're dropping nuggets here. Um, God is so merciful that when he wants to change the course of our life, he will allow things to come and to happen that will be a type of conviction. The purpose of the conviction is so that there is a corrective change in your behavior. So there is a conversion. When we see things like this that is happening with Diddy, it is because they have ignored the opportunity
Yes.
to be convicted and converted from their behavior. Now,
Yes.
y'all say what you want to, but this ain't all the devil. No, this is a spirit of rebellion and pride in turning from, because God is merciful to everybody. I
Mhm.
live by that. I do. I believe that when people get exposed, it's because they made a decision
Yes.
that they weren't going to turn. That there was a point in your life
Yes.
when God sent somebody, whether it be a pastor, preacher,
Yes.
whoever, neighbor. There's always that point in each of our lives where God will send somebody to correct us. He did it for Naaman. Come on. I mean, you can call any Bible character, and God always, Nathan and David.
Yeah.
Nathan gives David a riddle. David's like, well,
Yeah.
yeah, and he ought to be killed. He said, well, thou
But
art the man.
yeah, think about Ahab.
Yeah,
Let's use Ahab. Ahab had it in his heart. He had made a decision in his heart that he was going to go to war, even though it was not
yeah,
God's intention.
yeah,
He even went so far to say, I'm going to get a godly man to partner with me, Jehoshaphat,
yep,
so that it can look well.
yes.
His heart was set.
Have that
And
cover.
yes. So then check this out. Now, this is something, this I'm explaining. See, willful rebellion leaves us powerless to deception.
Mhm.
I use Ahab for an example. He did that. Now think about that. His mind was already set. And people ask the question, because these are some of those scriptures where people kind of like, okay, why did that happen?
Right,
Why did God do that?
right.
So remember when Ahab, he had those prophets. He had those prophets come in, say, because Josephat asked, said, hold up, we need to inquire of the Lord. Like, what's going on here? So he brought all his prophets. So all his prophets came in and said, hey, go ahead, go
Yeah, you
forward.
gonna win.
You go in, you got this. And then Jehoshaphat, you can tell the Bible didn't say this, but Jehoshaphat was like, is there another? Like,
Right.
so something wasn't right. He knew something wasn't right.
That's
He
right.
calls for another prophet, and even Ahab said, you know what, there's one more, but I hate him.
Yeah.
He never
Never
speaks
says
anything
anything
good
good.
concerns me.
Yeah, never says
So
anything.
then you have prophets come to get him, and they're like, hey, check this out. We already said this.
Yeah.
You need to speak. You need to say what we say. He gets up there, and he mockingly says, oh, you're going to go. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be great. And then all of a sudden, Ahab trying to act like he wanted the truth. Oh, speak the truth. And then he said, okay. He said, and I saw the Lord sitting on the throne. And there were the sons of God, different ones. And he said, I heard God say, who will go forth
Come on now.
and cause Ahab to go into war? And then he says there were different ones speaking in front of him. He said, then one came forth and said, I will go. He said, a spirit came forth saying, I will go. And he said, what will you do? He said, I will be a lying spirit
Yep.
in the mouth of his prophets. He said, go and do so.
Yep.
Now, when a person who doesn't have proper biblical knowledge, they would think, oh, God is playing both sides. No. God understands that one of the most powerful forces in this earth realm is our will.
Yep.
The moment we make a decision to do what we want to do, all of a sudden, God has to allow demonic encroachment, interference, and doing things like that. And see, that's the thing people don't understand. Even with Diddy, I could promise you, with Diddy or whoever else gonna get exposed, I could promise you there were moments and plenty of moments that God was pleading with them.
Yes.
God gave them opportunity.
Yes.
God spoke and got in many different arenas.
Yep.
And they always ignored. They had their mindset, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, because that's just God's nature. I mean, there are certain things that are just going to happen because of his love, because of his grace and his mercy. And when we willfully um, and willingly reject those things and would say, no, I'd rather do it my way because my way gives me immediate gratification. It's, as you said, it's a power struggle, right?
Mhm.
The surrendering of our will to that of the Lord's will. And so, to your point, again, this is why I thank God for this conversation because it is cathartic. It is, again, I don't want to be that outlet that just points fingers at Diddy, right? I want to be
Mhm.
that media outlet that says Diddy represents. He is a montage. He is uh, a blueprint, if you will, of
Mm.
a type of spirit, right? A
Mm.
personality that
Yeah.
all of us need to pay attention to,
Yes.
because if we don't, um, many will fall into that same exposure. I've never been the kind of person as a preacher that always just gave people over to the devil. And some people do. I mean, they're so quick to send people to hell. I mean,
Yeah.
rather than really become a good student of the word, they rather just preach nonsense.
Yeah.
And when you really understand the heart of God, right, and the heart of a father, then you understand that God is more interested in redeeming men,
Yes.
saving the souls and lives of men from destruction. God is
Yes.
not sitting. That's why a lot of this stuff on Facebook, these false prophecies, these doomsday end time prophecies, the problem with a lot of it, it's not biblical. It is spurious conjecture that is laced and based on people's bias, prejudice, and lack of rightly dividing God's word.
Yes.
Now, I normally have some enemies when I say that, but listen, I'm big. I'm big enough. I got God backing me up. Seriously, seriously, seriously. Um, People are perishing for lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm a deviate, but please bring me back. I'm gonna make this one statement. If you look at the life of Jesus, brother Chris, now he was the Son of God, Savior of the whole world. But why did he only call 12 close to him to disciple him? Because to really make a difference in somebody's life will require all of you. And you don't
Yes.
have that much of you to give to everybody and everything.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is that true discipleship and this whole thing that we as Christians are chasing after, this thing that we put God in, true discipleship is one on one.
Yes. Yes.
Discipleship, it's not counting heads, right? It's
Yeah.
it's really trying to make an impact. Anyway, I don't know why I went off on the tangent, but that is just my passion now. It's like, people stop pointing the fingers at everybody else and take an intrinsic introspective look within yourself.
Hmm.
That's all. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, no, you're right. But that's what it is. God is always speaking. Everything God does in this, just it is constantly out of mercy. He's trying, even if he has to allow somebody to be the example,
Yeah, the
it's out
example.
of mercy for
Yeah,
that person, but also for the people that hear and that see. That no matter how much power you think it does not hide you from him.
yeah.
It does not hide you from him. And the thing is that he's letting you know that, like, that it's fleeting. I don't care how great it is, it's fleeting. It doesn't, like, it doesn't,
What
all of that stuff.
what is the profit of man? You know what? I was talking to Etymology. He is the owner of the parent company. I was talking to him a little bit, and it was like, people don't read the Bible.
Yeah.
Do you realize that a lot of the stuff that people are doing in this counterculture that we're seeing
Yeah.
now uh, is emotionally driven and not scripturally based,
That's
right?
true.
Now that is sad. What is
Yeah.
sad is that people are building institutions, building ideologies and belief systems based on opinions, right?
Yes.
But it goes to what the Bible says in Judges, that there will come a day when men will do what is right in their own eyes. They won't even seek the word, and they won't even seek after truth. It's
Mm-hmm.
if the thought comes in their mind, they're going to do it, and they're going to
Mm-hmm.
call it an idea from God.
Yeah.
So um, the mercy of God is such that God is long suffering, right? Always extending that olive branch to us, saying, "Listen, I need to correct the course you're on because the path you're on is not right."
Yes.
Brother Chris, let's take another. This is good. And
Oh
from
yeah.
the likes of the audience, they're enjoying it. Let's
Amen.
pull up something. I have a couple of clips here. I want to go back to the P. Diddy situation. Then I want to shift our focus. But on this, I want to play something that Umar Johnson said. Now, I'll play this. This is from attorney Chris Gotti. He was Earn Your Leisure. He was on a show, right? So he's
Mm-hmm.
kind of breaking down the legal system and how things are done and why the charges are um, why there are the way why the charges are the way they are. He gives an explanation and a breakdown. So let's play. It's like maybe a minute or two. Let's play this because this is going to segue into um, another discussion about equal. I don't know if I want to say equal representation
Mm-hmm.
or equal ideology. Okay, but let's play this first and play.
Is so important because if you think about people from the culture that are looking at this and they're thinking, okay, there were chicks that were being flown in, there were parties, there were drugs. This seems like a regular night in hip hop culture. What do you mean conspiracy? What do you mean racketeering? It's not resonating for them because the legal concepts are being applied in a way that they're not normally being applied. And they are sort of taking the same blueprint with what happened with R. Kelly, where when people were initially saying, well, okay, we get that the conduct be repulsive and that it was illegal, they were underage minors. But once you start saying conspiracy and racketeering, it's sort of puzzling. And essentially what they have drafted this indictment to frame it as, there was an enterprise. And they're now expanding what you would think is the enterprise, which is Bad Boy, Combs Enterprises, all of the businesses that we know Diddy has been involved in for decades. And then they sort of slide in there that him having people that work for him, whether they were assistants, bodyguards, whoever, procuring women under the guise of, hey, Diddy's feeling you, he wants to date you, bringing them in, and then bringing in commercial sex workers, that now became a part of his overall business enterprise, his gratification for sexual reasons, which when you think about it, you're saying, no, that doesn't make sense.
Okay. So he said something there, and he said business enterprise. And this is where I want to shift the conversation just for a moment, because I want to talk about something that we don't always talk about, and that is the economic advancement of people of color. When you start making money, you become a threat to the system, right? As long as you stay in the box, as long as you stay limited in resources, you become untouched and unbothered. But as soon as you get in your mind that you can become as them or like them, then you are quickly reminded that you are not of them. Um, any thoughts as to the economic impact that this is having?
Well, the economic impact, as far as on Diddy, I mean, he's going to lose, you know, a lot of things. So the legacy that he would have left for his children, grandchildren, and and so forth is going to, for the by and large, is going to be gone. Now, granted, there's always other ways to make it, but the thing is that they're not going to allow him to have that much. But I will speak to this, that in this system with black men, they don't mind you having money. But when you start taking that money, or when that power and influence and whatever, if you have that and it starts empowering people, That's what
Now you
that's.
so now you bring up something that Dr. King said, right?
Yep, I was gonna go there. I was gonna go there. Okay, yeah, okay, go ahead.
Great minds think alike, right? Um, as long as Dr. King was doing the nonviolence thing,
Yes.
people didn't bother him. He got the support of presidents and the like. But as soon as he started to teach, or as soon as he started to realize that economic empowerment was the way that blacks were going to have a fighting chance,
Yes.
he feared. Not only did he fear for his life, but he feared that what he stood for would not be enough if it was just one-sided. If you only empower the emotional, spiritual
Hmm.
part of a person, but never the practical, financial part of a person,
Hmm.
you still leave them with a deficit. You still leave them with.
Yes. And he realized that
Yeah.
towards the end of his life, he realized that, and that was where we have the Poor People's March.
Yeah.
That was where, because that's a lot. Every January it irritates me because it can get more and more whitewashed.
Right.
Every year it irritates me to no end. All they talk about is the "I have a dream" speech. What they don't understand, that did not get that man killed. What got him killed was his ideologies that he started to teach and was teaching his people when it came to economic empowerment.
Yes.
Not only was he taking poor black folks, he was going after poor white folks.
Oh yeah, he would listen. That is underrepresented, but it's true. Black people were the only ones he was trying to empower and liberate, and you had a lot of poor whites, a lot of poor Jews.
Yep, and he became dangerous. He became so dangerous. Same with Malcolm X. This thing people don't realize. Malcolm X was he was gathering different people, different entities, and they were going to go to the United Nations. They were going to go to the UN, and they were going to charge the United States for the crimes that they committed against black people. They were when it was going, they were getting ready to touch that. I'm sorry, but
documented. My father was an ex-Black Panther. God bless his wonderful soul. And, a lot. We were blessed and fortunate in our house because by him being a living legend, marching with Dr. King. Some people knew it. He didn't publicize a lot unless like he did speaking engagements at Fresno State and Pacific and other places, but he didn't really amplify it because he never wanted it. Never wanted to come across like he was some kind of braggadocious, But this is what he told us growing up and why he did it, because he grew up in the South. He saw all kinds of heinous acts and things towards black people. He was involved in a situation when he was young, and he said he doesn't know the state of the person when he got done putting a whooping on him. Because they shipped him up to Detroit where he met my mom. But when he was between, I think, 15 and 17, he said, marching with Dr. King, he said, at first I wasn't for the nonviolence because I wanted to get back. I wanted to get even. But we did it. He was in Selma. He said, we did it because that's what we felt we had to do something. But it wasn't until he got to California in his 20s that he became a part of the Black Panther movement. And he said this. He said, Jonathan, do not believe the lies that the media tells you about the Black. He said the Black Panthers were not against families, or were not against morals and values. They were not trying to destabilize the country. That was a lie that, of course, government agencies put on them so that they could detract them. What they were trying to do is keep their communities safe, and they were trying to empower their neighborhoods and protect their neighborhoods, right? Goes back to the point of whenever you try to move out of the hedge or the box or the boundaries or the barriers that society puts around you to confine you, you have to be willing. You have to be willing to take some hits.
Yes.
To be misunderstood, to be maligned, right? And what that taught me is not to shrink or retreat, but it taught me how to pivot and how to live unselfishly. One of the
Mm.
reasons why I started this radio station was because I got to a point after, having a conversation with Adamology and other people, and this had been in the works for some years. Just, they said, as a preacher, there's still something else you can do to give back in the community. And I
Mm.
started thinking, man, my life is just linear. I'm just moving on one plane. And
Yeah.
really, as wonderful as preaching is, and it is, I love it. It's my life. If I didn't take on a burden to make a difference in the community, I still would be selfish.
Mm.
But that's me. That's how I had to shift. And my
Yeah.
thinking is, I can't live selfishly, even if
Yeah.
it is a sacrifice, even if it is expensive. If it's going to leave the community better off, sow the
Yeah.
seed.
Yep.
Plant the seed. Go ahead.
Yep. No.
I'll start going on tangent. I'm sorry.
No. You no, and you hit it right on the head, and that's the thing. It's and that's what we have to do. It's we have to have we have to be committed to empowering our people with knowledge and resources. Knowledge and resources. And we as Black people, we become dangerous when we do that.
Yeah.
Anytime where people are being empowered and really getting knowledge, that is where it's like, okay, well, no, we we don't want that. I mean, you remember how hip hop was back in the 90s?
Yeah.
It was, you had your gangster rap, you had some of that stuff, but you had a lot of knowledgeable stuff, or even the media that was about Black people. You had the Cosby Show, you had Martin, you had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, A Different World, all that. And you remember everybody was going to Black colleges. It was a surge of people going to Black colleges. Surge. Because all of a sudden people were pursuing knowledge. They were pursuing, we were starting to become more of aware of ourselves. Then 2000s, a little bit further, all of a sudden the music changed. You notice it wasn't as conscious anymore.
Right.
Everything changed as far as with our television shows.
It became base, real basic.
Yes, very basic. Yes. It went from that to basic. Even the comedy shows back in the 90s had intellectual property.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's like all of a sudden they put us in the early 2000s, then just little by little, very subtle, it just started doing that. They started dumbing down our content. And now we pretty much all we have is I forgot. The basketball wives and all that. We have all those things. We have those
franchise,
the Real Housewives, Love and Hip Hop, all of that stuff, and it's constant. And all it does, it produces images of Black people that operating on the very basic levels, just drama upon drama upon drama. The music, it's not even all across the board. They ain't let nothing conscious come through. Right. It has to be so basic, and even how they talk. I'm talking about even educationally.
This is good. I'm telling you.
They said, now this is a few years ago, but they said the grade level overall from all the hip hop songs that they hear, the reading level that has been taught overall, taking them all from the highest to the lowest, the average, third grade level.
Stop playing.
Third grade level.
2024. Do you know how much of an indictment that is against our intelligence? The fact that after all these years of evolution as a people, we are worse off than when we were pre-Reconstruction. That's sad.
Okay. Well, think about this. You always have to have, slavery always has to have a trustee. Slave masters always got to have a trustee. So you get these trustees, you give them just a little bit of power,
it's the
right?
Slavery.
Yeah. And what it does, it's like, okay, hey, because now think about it. Amongst Black people, what is one of the main things we say, no matter what's going on? I'm just going after the bag. That's it. It's about the bag. So we're not for our people no more as a whole. It's all about the bag. So now each and every one of us, individualism now. I'm going for my bag. I'm gonna get mine. You better get yours. That's what it is. So it's like I get mine. I'm in my own little silo. You handle you do your thing. So the mindset has to change to where those of us that are coming up, we're not just coming up for us. We recognize that no, we're just like the Bible teaches. We're blessed to be a blessing. Yeah. Now I'm coming up, and not only am I a school psychologist for me, for my children and stuff like that. I'm a school psychologist for my people.
Come on.
So I'm a school psychologist that'll come in, and yeah, they're trying to take this young black boy who we know is smart enough. He's just not. He's not focused. He's disinterested because he's fatigued and he don't even realize it because he's constantly receiving a bunch of microaggressions. He's always all these implicit bias to where people are biased against him before don't even give him a chance. And all this stuff, he feels that he don't know about it. He feels that, so now he comes in. He doesn't want to read, doesn't really want to write, or all those different things like that. So you got a brother like me who will come in, and so they'll test him on those cognitive assessments. They'll test him on the academic assessments. They'll test him. They'll do rating scales for ADHD. They do rating scales to see whether or not how he is social emotionally. And you'll get teachers that do it way too much. He's this and he's that. And then we're looking at these cognitive assessments. And so if you don't have people that look like me, a lot of times you are
Ritalin, right?
Huh?
They'll put them on Ritalin and all kind of medication.
Yes. Oh, easy. Oh, yes, easy. Ritalin, all those things. And then they'll come in and they'll say this young man needs to go into special education.
Yeah.
So they'll come to a person like me. He needs special education. Why? Well, because he get absent. He's reading 2-3 grades lower than what he is. All these different things like that. So then I go and I look at all these, and I do the testing, and I look at all of these different things. And then when I talk to him, and I really get to know them, because I have a way about a lot of kids. They'll calm down and they'll start showing their real self, and I'm looking like, no, you don't need that. You don't need special education. And a lot of times we're putting our kids in special education. I know it's kind of a shift. I'm sorry, but that's the thing. A lot of times, and that's part of why I do what I do. I'm standing there and I'm looking like, and I stand in between, and I'm like, no, he or she needs interventions.
I want to add this, and then this is a segue. What you said is a segue to this next slide. I've been in LA now 21 years. Right around the second or third year that I was here, I wrote a mentorship program for Inglewood Unified, right? And they asked me to come in and to do an assessment it was an after-school program for predominantly young black kids, young black males. And it was at that time that I really saw the importance of a village. And I want to say this to all those who are listening. Every culture has its code, right, embedded within its environmental code that's embedded in their culture, right? Africans are very communal and village oriented. There are other groups too. Doesn't matter that we've been removed hundreds of years from Africa. It's encoded in our DNA to be a part of a village, right?
Yeah.
And when I realized that the church, business, whatever, that everybody had a responsibility to be a part of this village to help give a positive outlook to our young people, it started turning things in my brain about as what you said. Sometimes we live too selfishly, but if you've been blessed, if you've been gifted, if you've been graced, if you've been anointed to do something, do it with the mindset that I'm not just reaping the benefit of it, but I'm here to be a blessing to somebody else. And in that time working with the district, I saw so many young black boys who their teachers they would just, not only would they put them in special ed, it's like they would make up stuff in their charts, right? Just to get out of class, right? If a student would ask questions, I literally stood in one class and heard the student ask the teacher, but because the teacher did not want to answer the kid, he turned it into this whole thing of disrespect. And I'm thinking,
Mm,
wow, wow. This kid asks you a very simple question and
mhm.
you couldn't even answer it. Like you
Yeah.
would rather, demonize him and ridicule him and ostracize him from the whole class when he simply wanted to know a question to what you
Mhm.
were erroneously teaching. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the teacher felt checked and felt
Yeah.
embarrassed.
But you know what? That I did it. I did a thesis on this.
Oh, really?
I did a thesis on racial microaggressions and implicit bias, how it affects low academic performance.
Wow, I didn't know that, bro. That's good. I want to hear that. Like,
Yeah,
we gotta do another
I did.
show. We gotta do it. No, no, really. Let's do another show specifically about that. Let's pull this up because I want you to walk through this real quick. Man,
Okay.
we've been talking an hour, but it feels like it's only been 10
I
minutes.
know.
So I don't want to keep them up.
Oh
If
yeah,
you're
most
still hanging,
definitely.
we got folks. If you're still hanging, chime in and say, hey, let the brothers know that you're with us. But let's take a look at this. Okay. Let me take this
Mm.
out here. Okay. Black men in America face a complex array of challenges, including systemic racism and discrimination, persistent racial biases in various systems, including education, employment, housing, and the criminal justice system, result in a disproportionate negative outcome for Black males. True, not true.
Very true.
Okay.
Very true. In every way.
Now
I mean,
this Project 25 and the Heritage Foundation, they're all trying to dismantle the whole notion that there's anything systemic about race and race relations.
oh yeah. When you have a bunch of people that gaslight,
Yeah.
dude, that is that unfortunately that is the language of that's the language of the oppressor. Always wanting to gaslight, always wanting to make you feel like the reality that you know that you're experiencing, you're not experiencing. That is literally the heart of gaslighting.
Come
It's
on, but
and,
it seems like since Trump's been around, it's come to the forefront, and it's like people who know that something is wrong would still rather gaslight
mm,
than I don't know. That gets you under my skin.
well, no, you're right. But think about this: when somebody is in power, whatever spirit thereof will rule.
Yeah.
You know, so the manipulative, narcissistic type of spirit, it emboldened a lot of people. When
So
people are, I'm sorry,
no, so I was trying to be cool, but you know what? That's the correlation between. And listen, I'm not bashing Trump. I want
uh,
you to hear this. I don't want no hate mail, but that's the correlation between Trump and Diddy and anybody is that narcissistic, proud Luciferian spirit, and I think that's my issue with church folk is stop dismissing that Luciferian spirit just
mhm.
because you want to protect an institution. A
Yep,
lie is a lie. You can't
yep.
you
And
can't
I see,
define
and
a
I
lie.
see. Oh, forgive me. I'm sorry, bro.
So no, I just get mad about this. Like, come on, people, are you really that distracted? Has the devil really gotten you so caught up where you don't even see the trickery and the
Yep.
cunning, crafty ways? I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. Because here's the thing: when we don't submit ourselves under God in any area,
In any area.
we're open game for the enemy to seduce us. We have to understand the only thing that keeps us from being totally overcome by the enemy
Yeah,
is the power of the Holy Spirit.
yeah.
His
And we got to walk
enlightening.
in the spirit.
Yes, that walk of the Spirit. That is the only thing. And so because think about it, he was able to deceive a third of the angels.
Yeah.
So
Listen, he has skills.
yes, and so we have to understand it's only about the power. I've seen men of God who were not of our color. They will go. I mean, it's one particular man of God. I think he's anointed. He gets up there and he puts some up there, because what was her name? Oh God, Taylor Swift. She endorsed Kamala Harris. He gets up there. See, she's endorsing Kamala Harris. Now you know what spirit she's of. Okay. So then he's trying to push everybody towards Trump.
Right.
So everybody's like, yeah, man of God, this is that. He's not, you know. So I asked the question. Now, like I said, I'm not. I told him, I said, I'm not. But I told him, I said, let me ask a question. I said, so yeah, she did, because he called her a witch, called
Kamala.
Taylor Swift a witch.
And Kamala Harris.
And Kamala Harris, yeah. And then said, okay, she's endorsing her. I said, but let me ask you a question. I said, so yeah, she's doing that. You're saying nothing. I mean, you're saying something. I said, but Elon Musk endorses Trump and nobody bats an eye.
Okay, so let's get to number 2. No, economic disparities. Black men often face, because that was a great segue, often face higher unemployment rates, lower wages, and reduced access to economic opportunities compared to their white counterparts. The wealth gap between black and white families is significant and contributes to ongoing economic challenges. True enough.
Easily. Part of my thesis that I did a study. There was something that it was a study I did, I believe it was in Minnesota or Milwaukee, one of the M's. And they did it was over 300 men. Some men were college educated. Some had a jail record. They did a job fair. It was over 300 men. And here's the crazy thing about it. All of these men were able to apply for jobs. The statistics, here's the statistics. And I kid you not. The white men that had actual records got hired faster or got interviews and callbacks at a higher rate than college educated black men. My mouth dropped. I was going through the study and I was like, wow. It was like in 2015, 13, somewhere around. It was somewhere around. I'll have to go back and look at my thesis and go back, and it's been years, but go back and look at that and see what year, because I always, I cited the year, cited the whole thing like that. So I would have to go back and look at that. No, but that was a real thing. It was over 300 men that did, and they showed it. That obviously the highest that got callbacks were college educated white men. Second were white men with records, with jail records.
So let me ask you this. So quite naturally, that would stand to reason why there's a lot of anger and aggression with black men. Oh, but to your earlier point, it keeps getting gaslighted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like everybody wants to amplify, oh, black men are this, but you're contributing. We're in a system that contributes to this cycle of keeping us at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Everybody has a breaking point. Everybody has a boiling point, a tipping point.
Yeah.
I'm not justifying their behavior. I'm just saying I'm trying to explain that there are reasons why people are pushed. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no. To that point, I had a pastor some years ago when some riots broke out in Baltimore. He coming out there. Oh, this is this that. And he was very just like when it came to black folks, and he was like Puerto Rican. I don't know what he was, but anyway, he was something. But he wasn't white. But he kept putting that out there, and I'm looking. So I asked the question. I'm like, okay. I told him. I said, I don't necessarily agree. I said, but usually riots and stuff like that are usually the language of the unheard. I deal with this when I deal with behaviors in children. I tell teachers and admin all the time, every single behavior is usually attached to an unmet need.
Say that again, doctor. Come on.
An unmet need.
I gotta type that. Hold on.
Every negative behavior that we see is attached to an unmet need.
Y'all, hold on, because I gotta type. So every behavior, is that what you said?
Yeah. Every negative behavior is attached to an unmet need. Always. It is always. And so when I
That's
come
why-
into those,
Oh wow, that's why they have problems in their marriages, huh?
yeah, oh man, easily. Me and my wife just did. We spoke at a marriage conference. Was it not the last Saturday, but Saturday before last? That's why I was so. Week after week after week after week, we've been speaking or doing something like that. I was like, I need some Saturdays where I just want to. I'm tired. But we were speaking on, in fact, about the subject we were teaching on was about conflict resolution.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good, but it's about those. When you see people like that doing it, it's an unmet need. It's a reaction to an unmet need. And even when we come to marriage, here's the thing. Now, even one of the things me and my wife was discussing, you got to understand, even when it comes, like when you get married, you're making a covenant before God to partner, but also to say there are certain needs that God will fill. There are certain needs you can go outside of the marriage with friendships and stuff like that to fill, but there are certain needs in this marriage that only I can fill. I am making a covenant that you don't have to go outside to get these needs met.
Chris. That's a good explanation. I like that one. That's good.
But what happens when we withhold from one another? Folks go outside. And I'm not saying there's no justification.
No, but it's what happens.
I always say
energy never dies. It has to go
yes, it has to go somewhere. I always say it's not a justification, but it's an explanation. Like and so that. It's the thing. It's like, okay, no, it is my
Can
duty.
You be my therapist.
hey, I'm here.
I like how you explain stuff. But go ahead. Okay, I'm sorry.
Amen. Thank you. Oh no, thank you. I appreciate it, brother. And that's one of the things. Like it's my duty and my responsibility to make sure that my wife Shinoba, that I'm able to assess her needs. And I'm able to realistically, and I put emphasis on realistically,
meet those needs,
fulfill them and meet them. Yeah. There are certain needs sometimes we'll have, I like to say, that's more attached to our trauma, and we have to be able to be aware of that.
Hold on. This done turned into a therapy session.
I know.
Hold on. Really, not about me. No, not about me. But that's something that is so true. For those of you listening, this is good. This is good what he just said. I want you to hear. Lean in. Here we go. Some expectations that you may have in a given relationship could be unmet because it's attached to a trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes putting that pressure or expectation on the person you love is unfair if they have nothing to do with that trauma.
Yep.
History of the root of it. See, that's key right there, because a lot of people get lost in translation trying to figure out a blueprint for their lives, because those areas, I always say, if you've had trauma, get therapy, because that's an additional area of support that maybe your spouse cannot meet.
Yes. Well, I think we all do.
That's
I need some. And the thing is like I've had to confront my stuff over the years, just even being in relationships. This is something like I was talking, because I mentor my sons. I was talking to my oldest son about the power of getting counseling. And there are some things my son was dealing with, and I was just talking to him, and I told him, because at first he was like, "No, Dad, I don't need that. And I'm like, "Okay, son," I said, "I'm going to be 100% honest with you." I said, "Everybody needs it." I said, "We all need to work through some things." But then I told him, I said, "Son, you got to understand, some of your belief systems and the way you cope with certain things, it's going to affect you in your meaningful relationships." And I told him, I said, "I want to put emphasis on meaningful. I'm talking about where the mask comes off. I'm not talking about you just surface. I'm talking about meaningful. I'm talking about the girlfriend you're eventually going to have, the children you're going to eventually have, the wife you're going to eventually have. Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Your deep, close-rooted friends, jobs, those things." And I told him, I said, because you got to understand, son, I said, when you don't deal with those things explode on people. And I said, the people that are closest to you are always in that blast radius. And I told him, I said, "Son, I love you, but I said, there are times when you acting out or whatever, I'm in your blast radius, dude. I'm catching strays."
I want to pause and get to this because if we don't, we're not going to
Oh
get
yeah.
it. And I don't
Oh
want
yeah. My bad.
to. However, yeah, because this is good. Let's walk through this. Okay, educational inequities. Black men are more likely to attend underfunded schools and have less access to quality education. They also face higher suspension and expulsion rates, which can disrupt their educational trajectories. This speaks to exactly what you do and see on a
Mhm.
daily basis, right?
Yep. Yep. See it all the time.
Okay.
See it all the time.
Uh,
It's crazy. The most skillful teachers, they send them to the best schools. They send to the more underfunded schools the newest teachers. So the average teacher is a 20-something-year-old white woman.
with no experience.
Yeah. So that's a whole lot of things. So you send them in there with a lot of young black boys. They have no knowledge about that. So then it's a cycle. I can go deep in that, but we got a lot more to go.
This is good. Oh man, this is good. Health disparities. Black men experience worse. I can't talk to them. Worse health outcomes and have high rates of chronic diseases such as hypertension and diabetes. Access to health care, health insurance is often limited, contributing to these disparities. I think this is true, but what I also think about this is we need to be proactive too.
Yep.
Uh, the health disparities, things have shifted now. We should be able to advocate for ourselves.
Yes.
You
Yes.
agree? Okay. Number 5, criminal justice system. Black men are disproportionately represented in the criminal justice system. True, true, true. With
Yeah.
higher rates of arrest, conviction, and incarceration. Racial profiling and harsher sentencing contribute to this overrepresentation. Oh my God. That we're going to have to come back to
Yes. Because that
because,
guy. Because I know you heard about that guy who died, right?
yeah,
Who died?
listen.
I keep forgetting his name.
Oh,
He
man.
got he got executed today. He got executed today. And check this out: the family, the victims of the victim family, said they didn't want it. Um, they found evidence
Yes, that he was. Yeah.
that he was actually not guilty, that he was innocent. They knew this and still did it.
Because they want to kill a coon. They want that. You know, Umar. Hold on. Let me play this. Let me back
Yeah.
to this.
Umar's my guy. I love Umar.
Let's see what Umar says.
From the initiatives that they are implementing.
Hold on. Sorry, y'all.
Not just the agenda, the timing. You know why they gave black people Puff Daddy during election season? You know why they gave black people Puff Daddy during election season? The reason they gave you Puff Daddy during election season, the reason they decided to serve up Sean Puffy Combs a few weeks before the election is they want to distract you from the laws that they are passing. They want to distract you from the policies that they are enacting. They want to distract you from the initiatives that they are implementing. This is a distraction. And because they know black people love to see black people disgraced, humiliated, and destroyed.
One thing I could say about that real quick, I agree and disagree.
Okay, brothers and sisters. Let me switch this. You back?
Sir, sorry about that.
No. It's okay. Anyways, I was playing this Umar clip kind of on what you had already said, and let's do this. And that was
It's a distraction.
a distraction and how the system handles us. And so, you know, of course, his take was it's a conspiracy to distract us from the election. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it's an important conversation, but one that'll take another hour. And I don't
Yes.
want to
Yes. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to see more of this, listen. If you want Dr. Chris to have his own show on Believe Radio, y'all give me some feedback, all right? Let me hear from you, and let's see if we can make something happen on a more regular basis because I believe his voice has value. Okay, the mental health stigma. This is not, again, boy, these are all good. These last ones, actually, all of these points are good. There's a stigma around mental health in many Black areas and communities, which can prevent Black men from seeking help. That's true, right? They also face barriers accessing mental health care, including costs, lack of culturally competent providers, distrust of the healthcare. Goes back to what you said about teachers. Impoverished areas will send unqualified teachers to areas where they can't build trust, right? Because with Black folks, I have to trust you, especially with Black men. I got to
Oh,
trust you or you can treat me.
man. Got to. Oh, this hit right on where it says lack of culturally competent providers. You gotta have that. And
Okay, but let me ask you this:
huh?
is a part of that? This is a brainstorm. It's hit me. Sorry, a minute ago. But a part of that is living unselfishly, matriculating in school to see Martin Luther King, my father, and others. When they got jobs for a cause. I said something then.
Agreed.
They
Agreed.
went to school to solve a problem.
Yep.
We can't keep talking about what is wrong if we're not willing to be the solution. Some
Yep.
of us need to go back to school, get recertified and credentialed, get in positions of influence, those 7 mountains of influence. If the kingdom's going to have impact, we got to invade those 7 mountains of influence.
7 mountains.
We're
Yeah.
not doing it. I'm sorry. That just hit me right there.
That's good. That's good. Those 7. No, you hit it right on the head. Those 7 mountains are very important. But that's where it goes into the kingdom teaching. A lot of our teaching is not, and it's not in empowering our people to go out and deploy.
Yeah.
We're supposed to go out and deploy.
Yeah.
My kids are home, but we're supposed to go out and deploy. We're like maybe 10 to 20% of the people in ministry should be fivefold nationwide or worldwide. The other 80% should be in the marketplace in some form or fashion.
Listen, this is one reason why, shameless plug, that I thank God for Bishop Michael Blue, because it is our mantra as a fellowship to be marketplace driven. Other reformations are awesome. I can only speak for the one I'm a part of. It is highly marketplace driven.
Yeah.
And it's making a difference in the community. So yes, to that point, and that is kingdom teaching. That's kingdom theology. That is kingdom reformation. Okay, our last one, because again, we got to have him back. I mean, you're such an amazing guest, and I'm not gaslighting you. That's the truth. The police violence. Black men are more likely to be victims of police violence and brutality. So, the case in, what is that, North Carolina, South Carolina, where the young man got lynched?
Oh, yes.
They're trying to say it wasn't a lynching, but all the evidence points to the fact that there was some victimization there.
Yeah, I mean they always do that. It's always a twist of the story.
Yeah, but I'm saying, these are the areas, brothers and sisters, where we as African American men are being affected, impaired, if you will, and it's an area where we need to concentrate on making sure that we. Hey, Jason, it's my brother. He's on. What's up, bro?
Hey, Jason.
It's important that we have these conversations. And actually, Adamology said to me this evening, he said, we need to at least do once a month a brother show. So I'm putting that bug in your ear. I've also talked to my brother Jason the other day, but I'm serious. Let's do a brother show where we do a real men show, something where we can have a platform where brothers can chime in, call in, or whatever. And so I'm gonna put that in your spirit, Chris. I'm gonna let you marinate on that, right?
Amen.
I want it to be a conviction, right? So you can come to me and say, "Yeah, Prophet, I think this is what," because I do. I believe that this conversation has been most insightful, uplifting, cathartic in every way. Really, I mean, you've challenged a lot of paradigms, and you have really planted a wealth of seed to mobilize us to really start thinking and acting very differently.
Amen.
I appreciate you being my guest.
Amen.
This won't be the last time, of course, because as you heard me say, something is in the works. But any final words that you'd like to share with everyone, and right before we log off.
Just really quickly, I'll just say this: take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Like really take stock into your spirit, your soul, and your body. Don't neglect it. And I know, and minimize the voice that pushes us to constantly feel like we always have to get everything at the expense of ourselves,
That's good.
or to become a part of some at the expense of ourselves. It's nothing wrong to like something, go after something, but the thing is that you don't want to do it and lose yourself at the same time. There are people in your lives that you love, but in the midst of loving them, you losing yourself. I encourage you to just really go after God, find your purpose, center yourself in Him, and let Him build you up in every way, spirit, soul, and body. And that's me. That's my little takeaway for everybody.
Well, brothers and sisters, thank you again for tuning in. Please share this on your platforms, all your social media pages, and the like. Thanks again to our guest, Dr. Chris Pennywell, and to our Atomology, the Oakland owner of the station up there in his absence. To all of you, my father's children, we bid you the blessings of God, and may you have a wonderful night. Thank you for tuning in again to Believe Radio and for listening to our show. And may you have a phenomenal evening. Grace and peace.